Namaste everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrutakalashahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanataya Shri Mahavishnave Namaha. I welcome you all to my channel, Dr. Mahesh speaking. Today we are continuing with the Charaka Samhita Pathana. If you are new to my channel and if you have not watched the previous videos, please watch them in my channel. The videos are available. And if you are new and if you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe and also click the bell icon so that you can get the notification of new videos whenever I upload. And also share the information with all those who are in need of this and your friends also. So, continuing with the Charaka Samhita Pathana. So, we are into the 8th session. Previous sessions, if you have not yet watched, please watch and continue the sessions for better understanding because they are interconnected. So, let us move to the today's session. So, so it starts with the quotation 64th. रसनार्थो रसस्तस्य द्रव्यमापः क्षितिस्तथा निवृत्तौ च विशेषे च प्रत्यया खादयस्त्रयः. It is said रसनार्थो रसः तस्य द्रव्यम् आपः क्षितिस्तथा निवृत्तौ च विशेषे च प्रत्यया खादयस्त्रयः. It means रसनार्थो रसः. Rasanasya artha means rasana, the vishaya of tongue. The Vishaya of Jivhendriya, Jivha is Rasa. Tasya Dravyam means here Karana Dravyam. Tasya Dravyam Apaha Kshiti Tata. Apa Kshiti Tata means the Karana Dravya for the formation of Rasa are Jala Mahabhuta and Prithvi Mahabhuta. Okay. Nivruttaucha Visheshecha Pratyaya Khadaya Strayaha. Nivritti means appearance or occurrence. For occurrence of others, Vishesha means individual rasas. Madhura, Amla, Lavana, Katutikta, Kashaya, like that. Individual rasas. Pratyaya Kadaya Strayaha. Kadaya Straya means Akash Mahabhuta, Vayu Mahabhuta, and Agni Mahabhuta. These three Mahabhutas are responsible for the manifestation of individual specific rasas. Visheshe, Nivruttaucha Visheshe, specific rasa formation. Rasa, Karanadravya is, source is Prithvi, Jala Mahabhuta and Prithvi Mahabhuta, 100%. But various rasas like Madhur Rasa, Amla Rasa, Katu Rasa, Tikta Rasa, Kashaya, like all these rasas have to origin means they need the association of other Mahabhutas. They are Akasha Mahabhuta, Vayu Mahabhuta and Agni Mahabhuta. Let us see what Chakrapani says. Samprati doshan abhidaya tat prashamana pradhanan rasan vaktum udyato rasalakshana purvakam rasotpatti kramam aha rasanartha ityadi. So I am going to start about means Acharya Charaka has started about rasa. Samprati doshan abhidaya. Before this Acharya explained doshas, what are these gunas, how they are subsided, with what type of viparita guna irtavei. So opposite guna dravyas when they are used at that time, those doshas are subsided, like that is explained. So for prashamana, pradhanan rasa means for prashamana of dosha, rasa plays very important role. Rasa is considered as pradhana for subsiding pragupita dosha and even for nourishing the shina dosha. So that is why Rasalakshana Purvakam. So Rasan Vaktum. So I am going to start. Means Acharya Charaka has started. Vaktum means explaining Rasa. Lakshana Purvakam. It starts with the Lakshana. He starts with the Lakshana of Rasa. That is Rasanartho Rasaha. What is the Lakshana? Rasanartho Lakshana. Rasanartho Rasa means Jivhendriya Artha is Rasa. This is the Lakshana of Rasa. Rasa utpatti krama, and he further explains about the rasa utpatti krama, how rasa utpatti takes place. Rasyata aswadeta iti rasaha. Rasyata aswadete iti rasaha, the one which is perceived by the granindra. Rasanartha iti jivha grahya, it is perceived by granindra. Sorry, it is perceived by jivendriya, not granindriya. Tongue. Tasyeti, Tasya dravyam. Tasya means rasasya. Dravyam iti adhara karanam. That is karana dravya. tasya rasasya dravya, that is adhara dravya or karana dravyam apah kshitistata. द्रव्य शब्दो ही आधारवाची आधारवाची आधार कारणवाची मीन्स दे आर द सोर्स, दे आर द कारण द्रव्यास ऑफ उत्पत्ति ऑफ रस. एज इट इज से यथा पंचेंद्रिय द्रव्यानि इति. पंचेंद्रिय द्रव्यानि मीन्स ऑल द इंडिविजुअल इंद्रियास हैव गॉट देयर ओन महाभूत. क्षितिस्ततेति यथा आपः आधार कारणम तथा क्षितिरपि. व्हाट इज से द्रव्यम आपः क्षितिस्तथा. बोथ हियर इट इज सेइंग क्षितिस्तथा, इट मीन्स आप महाभूत as well as पृथ्वी महाभूत, both are adhara karanas or karana dravyas for the formation of rasa. Now further, why it was said like dravyam apah kshitistata, why not apkshiti? Apkshiti iti vaktavye kshitistata iti vachanat. Instead of explaining apkshiti, what Acharya said, dravyam apah kshitistata, apah and kshiti tata it is said. So अपक्षिति इति वक्तव्ये क्षितिस्तते इति वचनात् क्षितेर आधार कारणत्वम अमुख्यम इति दर्शयति. सो दिस मे गिव द आइडिया अबाउट द कारण द्रव्य कारणत्व ऑफ among Jalamabhuta and Prithvimabhuta. Prithvimabhuta is amukhya or it comes second. First, very important Karanadravya is Jalamahabhuta and comparatively less important is Prithvimabhuta. Like that, the meaning of that comes. Yena apohi nisargena rasavatyaha, because Jalamahabhuta is naturally, it is having rasa. So further it is said, there is some debate about this. Okay, that we will see. Tata hi atre badrakapi api saumya kalu apaha. Saumya is said to be, Jalamahabhuta is said to be saumya. Ityadina jala eva rasasya vyaktiriti darsheti. So by all these, so Jalamahabhuta itself is said to be the main cause or main karana for the manifestation of rasa. Sushrute api uktam tasmadapyo rasaha. Rasa is caused because of jala, rasa is there, like that. Kshitistata kshitistvam apameva rasena nityanushakteena rasavati ityuchyate. Yato nityah kshiti jala sambandha. Kshiti stva apam means kshiti, Prithvimabhuta and Jalamahabhutas, they are having nitya anushakta. They have nitya sambandha. They are together. Only when they come together, then only rasavati uchyate. They give the origin to, they give the formation of rasa. Yato nitya kshiti jala sambandha. That means the association of jala and Prithvimabhuta is nitya, means it is inseparable. It's a samvai and it is always true. It's going to be exist always. अस्यार्थः ख वायवाग्नि जल क्षितीनां उत्तरोत्तरे भूते पूर्वपूर्वभूतस्य नित्यम् अनुप्रवेशः तत्कृतश्च खादिषु गुणोत्कर्ष. That is why it is said like shabda sparsha rupa rasa gandha, what we say, akasha agni, shabda sparsha rupa, shabda sparsha akasha vayu, rupa agni, sparsha gandha, shabda sparsha rupa rasa Jalamahabhuta and Gandha Mahabhuta last. So what is said, Uttarottara, they will be having Anyonya Sanyoga. That is, Akasha Mahabhuta will be alone. Vayu Mahabhuta will be having Vayu Mahabhuta plus Akasha Mahabhuta. Agni Mahabhuta will be having Akasha, Vayu and Agni. Jala Mahabhuta will be having Akasha, Vayu, Agni and Jala. And Prithvimabhuta will be having all the five in them. So, Yatottara Gunotkasha. And this entry of each Mahabhutas in successive Mahabhutas is Nitya. It is said to be Nitya. Rasasya kim vyaktav akshiti karanam kimva visheshe iti aha. What is said, rasa, for why Prithvimabhuta and Jalamahabhuta are only considered as cause for rasa utpatti, because they are also responsible for the manifestation of specific rasa also. For example, Prithvi Jala Mahabhuta means it will be Madhur Rasa, like that it is there. So, is it right to say they are only Adhara Dravya or Karana Dravyas, or they are also responsible for manifestation of specific rasas. Kyunva vishesha itiyaha. So that is why what is said nivruttaviti adi. Nivruttau cheti abhivyaktav. Nivrutti means manifestation. Abhivyakti is manifestation. Yetena raso abhivyajyamano jalakshiti adhara eva vyajyate iti darshati. By this, what we can understand is, by this it is said, Jala and Mahabhuta, Jala Mahabhuta and Prithvi Mahabhuta appear to be only Adhara Dravya. Isn't it? If we complete there, Nivruttaucha, if we complete here only, Rasanartho Rasastasya Dravyam Apa Kshitistata Nivruttau. If we complete this here only, it gives the idea that Jala Mahabhuta and Prithvi Mahabhuta are only Adhara Dravyas. But further, Chakrapani says why they are also responsible for Visha, how it is explained by Charakacharya. Chakarat Nivruttaucha, the word cha, what cha says, that he is explaining here. Chakarat Visheshe api maduradi lakshane akshiti pratyayo means Madura and Chala Mahabhuta are not only responsible for the manifestation of rasa as a general, but they are also responsible for the appearance of specific rasas also. That is understood, that is to be understood by the word Nivruttaucha. By cha, it is to be understood. Tena, that is said, Chakarat Visheshe api maduradi lakshane apkshiti pratyayo. So that is to be considered. Tena soma gunatirekan maduraha. Prithivagni gunatirekad amlaha. See, these are telling like soma gunatirekad means Jala Mahabhuta. If it is more, then Madhur Rasa will come. Prithvi Mahabhuta and Agni Mahabhuta are more, then it will come. Amla Rasa will be there again. So here Jala is also coming, Prithvi is also coming in the determination of specific rasa also. So that is what is to be understood by the word cha. Ityadina Jala Prithviyorapi Vishesha Karanatvam Vakshamanam Upapannam. So Jala Mahabhuta and Prithvi Mahabhuta not only responsible for the manifestation of rasa, but they are also responsible for occurrence of specific rasas also. They are not only the source of origin, they are also responsible for the occurrence of specific rasas also. Visheshecha pratyaya, Visheshecha, further one more change there. Nivruttaucha, Visheshecha pratyaya, Kadaya, Strayaha. Iti, Visheshecha pratyaya iti, Kadaya, Visheshecha pratyaya, Kadaya iti, Maduradi Vishesha Nivruttau, Nimitta Karanam Vaivanala, Kha Vaivanalaha, na tu Adhara Karana Bhutaha. So that means, Visheshecha word means, we have to consider for the manifestation of Madhuradi Shad Rasas, Akasha Mahabhuta, Vayu Mahabhuta and Agni Mahabhuta, they are considered as Nimitta Karanas. Nimitta means they are also essential. Without them, there will be no Shad Rasas. They too will be responsible, but they are not the Karana Dravyas. They are not the Adhara Dravyas. Na tu Adhara Karana Bhutaha. They are not the Adhara Dravyas for the origin of Rasa. Okay, they are responsible. Akasha Mahabhuta, Vayu Mahabhuta and Agni Mahabhuta are also responsible for the manifestation of specific rasas, Madhuradi Shad Rasas. Khadaya iti aneneva tritve labde punastraya iti vachanam. So, what is said there? Khadayaha. Khadaya means already Ap Mahabhuta and Prithvi Mahabhuta is said. So, remaining are only three then among Pancha Mahabhutas. Khadaya means it will give idea that Akash Mahabhuta, Vayu Mahabhuta and Agni Mahabhuta. But still, Trayaha Vayu word is used because Khadaya iti aneneva tritve labde. Just by saying Khadaya, it is understood that there are three. Punastraya iti vachanam. Again telling three, it means Teshameva Vesta Samasthanamapi Pratyayatva Darshanartham. Because they individually and their Vesta means individually, Samastha means together, in association and separately. So there will be manifestation of different rasas independently as well as separately. Independently as well as by mixing with, by permutation with other Mahabhutas. So that is why it is separately said as Punastrayaha. Atayeva Vyasta Samasta Akashadi Samsarga Vedad Rasanam Maduratara Maduratamadi Avantara Veda Upapannaha. So further what he says, why it is said? Because depending on the permutation combination and the presence of the quantity of the Mahabhuta, individual Mahabhutas, same rasas also, in the same rasa also, there will be Taratama Taratamatu Aparasa, like Maduratara, Maduratama, like that is determined by individual Mahabhutas. So that is why even though Khadaya word gives idea about three Mahabhutas, but Traya word is said that they have their own effect individually as well as in Sanyoga or in association. So that is why it is said. विशेषे च चकाराद अभिव्यक्तम अभिव्यक्ताव अभिव्यक्तावपि आकाशादीनां निमित्त कारणत्वं दर्शयति. So विशेषे च chakarat, this cha also gives idea about that. Some people say that cha also gives idea about this. Aap also gives idea about chakarat abhivyaktav api akashadinam nimitta karanam. That is, the cha gives the idea that for the manifestation of different rasas, akasha, akasha mahabhuta, vayu mahabhuta and agni mahabhuta are said to be nimitta karanas. Vakshati hi tasu tu antarikshad brashmana brashtascha panchamahabhuta vikara guna samanvita jangama stavaranam bhutanam murtibir abhiprinayanti tasu shadbir murchanti rasaha. Sutrasthana 26th chapter. There what is said, tasu antariksha means jala mahabhuta, antariksha drishyamana, when jala mahabhuta jala falls from the antariksha, brishtascha pancha mahabhuta vikara guna samanvitaha. So when it falls in the stavara and jangama sources, which are nothing but mahabhuta vikaras, in those murtiman stavara jangama vikaras, when it goes, then shadvir murchanti rasaha. In them the shad rasas are formed. So how those shad rasas are formed? Depending on which mahabhuta is dominant in that particular dravya, depending on that the rasa is determined. Okay, it is like bhajana. Like when we add water, plain water, into a green glass bottle, the water appears green. If we add it into red bottle, it appears red, like that. So it is what is dominant in that rasa will be seen like that. So Panchamahabhuta Vikara Guna Samanvita Jangama Stavaranam Bhutanam Murtibir Prinayanti. Murtibir Abhiprinayanti. So when these Stavara Jangamas, means sources, which are nothing but Panchamahabhuta Vikaras, in them which Mahabhuta will be dominant, depending on that, when Rasa or Jala enters into that in presence of remaining Mahabhutas, the Shad Rasas are formed. That is the meaning of this. Annetu, some other people say, Annetu Vishesha cha iti, for the Nivruttau cha Vishesha cha. For Vishesha cha, Chakaram Kadayastraya Kadayascha ityatra yojayanti. Tena Chakarat Kalo api Visheshe Abhivyaktav cha Karanam. So some people consider this cha, they not relate that cha with Vishesha cha. They relate this cha with Kadaya Straya cha. So they consider that cha, they use that cha at Kadaya Straya cha. So they use that cha after Kadaya, means with Kadaya Straya, and then they say that cha is to be Tena, by that Chakarat Kalopi, by cha we have to consider Kala also one of the Karana for the manifestation of Rasa. Visheshe Abhivyaktav cha Karanam. For occurrence of Vishesha Rasa, Kala is also responsible. साक्षात् तु कालस्य अवचनेन खादिभ्यो अपि अपकृष्टं कालस्य कारणत्वं दर्शयति. So what they say, as Kala is not separately said, so these Mahabhutas and all, when they enter into Jala Mahabhuta, so depending on the Kala, varying type of rasas are formed. Maybe they will be considering, like example of Amra, consider mango. When it is raw, at that time it will be, in the beginning it will be Kashaya Tikta or Kashaya Tikta type. When it little grows and it becomes Amla Rasa Pradhana, and when it becomes ripen, it becomes Madhura and Amla Yukta. So Madhura dominant, Amla. So because of Kala, Rasa manifestation is change in Rasa or manifestation is taking place. So that is why some people consider Kala as one of the factor. But Chakrapani says it is not to be considered. So Kyumva Rasasyapo Dravyam Kshitistate iti Purovadeva Nivruttau cha iti Kshitireva Nivruttav Abhivyaktav Pratyayo na apaha yataha apo hi avyaktarasa eva Kshiti sambandhadeva cha raso abhivyakta upalabhyate. See, some other people say, yes, dravyam apaha kshitistata. Dravyam apaha kshitistata. What is said? Drava Jala Mahabhuta and Kshiti, Prithvi Mahabhuta Tata it is said. So some people say that Nivruttaucha iti Kshiti Reva Nivruttau Abhivyakto Pratyo means what they say for the manifestation of rasas most important is Prithvi Mahabhuta, not Jala Mahabhuta because Yata Apo hi Avyakta Rasaha. Jala Mahabhuta will not be having any rasa. So when it mixes with Kshiti, that is Prithvi Mahabhuta, Kshiti Sambandhadeva, when it associates with Prithvi Mahabhuta, cha rasa abhivyakta upalabhyate. So then only the rasa to Jala comes. Okay, so that is why what they say, rasasyapo dravyam kshitistate purvadeva is to be considered like that only, but for the occurrence of, though Jalamahabhuta, Prithvimahabhuta are responsible for the origin of rasa, but for the occurrence of specific rasas, very important is Kshiti Reva Nivrutta Abhivyakta Pratyayo Na Apaha. So, Vishesha Nivrutti, for the Nivrutti of occurrence of manifestation of rasa, Prithvi Mahabhuta is very important because they say Apoho Yata Apohi Avyakta Rasa Eva Kshiti Sambandha Devacha Raso Abhivyakta Upalabhyate. Uktam cha, as it is said in this quotation, yat stavara, sorry, tavat tavat tvantarikshad brahshamana brashtascha panchamahabhuta vikaranuguna samanvita jangama stavaranam bhutanam murtibir abhiprinanti tasu shadbir murchanti rasaha. Same is again explained here. Tena parthiva dravya sambandhadeva apam raso vechyate na anyata. So by this what is clear? What is clear is only on association with Prithvi Mahabhuta or Parthiva Dravyas, Jala Mahabhuta gets rasa, otherwise Jala Mahabhuta is nirasa or it will not have any rasa. Tena, by that, Parthiva Dravya Sambandha Deva, in Sambandha means association or mixing with Parthiva Dravya, Eva only raso vejyate, rasa appears, na anyata, not without that. There is no other way that Jala Mahabhuta can get rasa. Now, as I told, in this, how residual heavy metals in herbs are related. So, let us see how we can understand residual heavy metals in plants or presence of heavy metals in plants in terms of Charaka, what Charakacharya says about that. See, nowadays, heavy metals in herbs has become a major concern for both healthcare sector as well as pharma sector. It is the reason, main reason is the increased industrialization and urbanization which is leading to pollution. There is increased pollution. Because of pollutions, these some of the even metallic contents of the pollutants, they settle into the soil and they gain entry into the plant circulation and they lead to the accumulation of, we can call hyper accumulation of metals in the minerals in the plants. Okay, as per Acharya Charaka, what he says, what is the medicine? Tadeva yuktam beshajam yad arogyaya kalpate. What he says, that itself is said to be yukta beshaja. Yukta beshaja means samyak yukta beshaja or proper medicine which arogyaya kalpate, which leads to wellness or which leads to well-being of an individual, not causing any disease or subsiding one disease and bringing in another disease. No. What is the Samyak Prayukta Dravya means? Beshaja means it should cure the disease or it should bring in the healthy status of an individual. But what is happening? There are several articles. In recent past, we have seen even articles about Guduchi, heavy metal containing, Guduchi contains heavy metal and that is going to cause liver and renal problems. Like that, some articles were published. So these all are making, it's a matter of worry. It is a matter of worry. But presence of metals, heavy metals in plants is not whether it is a thing to be worried. It is yes as well as no also. Because it is yes because they will be present in plants. It is no. It is yes because of what you can call injudicious harvesting, cultivation and all, they are getting hyper accumulated, but it is not a concern because they will be present in plant. We will see why. So accumulation of heavy metals in plants is seen because genetically plants can be or divided into two categories, like metallophytic plants and non-metallophytic plants. So non-metallophytic plants are those, you need to keep this point in mind, I will tell you later. So non-metallophytic plants are those which when get exposed to heavy metals in the soil. Through the soil, when these metals gain entry into the plant circulation, they damage the plant, and the plant growth may get, plant may become dwarf, the color may change, composition may change, the leaves may change, the flower color may change, size may change. So many morphological changes occur along with chemical changes in that plant. The plant may turn toxic. But there are some other plants which are called as metallophytic plants. They are not getting affected by the accumulation of metals in them, heavy metals in them. So there is, specificity of, you know plants to particular metals. Okay, there will be hyperaccumulation of metals and minerals in the plants. But these metallophytic plants, they chelate that metal into a safer form, which is even safer for human beings as well as the plant health itself. And they store them in their, body, in plant body. And they won't show any morphological changes in them. They remain as normal as it is. But when they too get exposed to too much of accumulation of heavy metals, then they too suffer from, pathological conditions related to plant. Now what happens? This soil, what the soil which, because of pollution and all, when they increase heavy metal percentage takes place in the plants, this leads to hyperaccumulation in non-metallophytic plants also, because they are not able to protect it. Metallophytic plants, they have their own mechanism to even prevent hyperaccumulation. They accumulate the amount of metal that is needed for them, that is naturally to be present, and then they will try to protect hyperaccumulation. But non-metallophytic plants, they accumulate the metals in higher quantities, and then they show the changes. So this is very important. But metallophytic plants also, when the exposure to heavy metals becomes too much, and then they too fail to prevent the hyperaccumulation. And sometimes in metallophytic plants also we can see hyperaccumulation of metals. Now why there is a problem? Why there is a problem? Because they enter our body in the doses that are more than daily requirement doses, because this is the one why people consider these heavy metals in plants or herbs as toxic. And actually when they enter into our body in more than required amount, then 100% they are going to cause serious damage to vital organs, maybe liver, spleen, or kidney, whatever it may be, depending on the affinity of that particular metal. And because of this, the science as well as pharma industry gets blamed. Now let us see what Ayurveda says about this. What Ayurveda says about this. Now, in Janapada Dhamsini Adhyaya, Acharya Charaka has very nicely explained. That is what I told in the beginning, like industrialization and this urbanization leading to pollution. So what he says in Janapada Dhamsini Adhyaya, Drishyante hi khalu saumya nakshatra graha gana chandra suryanila analanam दिशां च अप्रकृति भूतानां अऋतु वैकारिक भूतानां ऋतु वैकारिक भावः अचिरादितो भूरपि च न यतावद् रसवीर्य विपाक प्रभावम् औषधीनां प्रतिविदास्यति तद वियोगाच्च आतंकप्रायता नियता. So what happens when the kala changes or environmental changes occur? You can consider the present day pollutions. Because of that, achiradito bhurapi, in very short span of time, in the earth also there will be changes. Because of that, the plants that are present on the earth, they will become na yatavad rasavirya vipaka prabhavam oshadinam pratividasyate. Because of that, the plants will not be having their natural rasa virya vipaka prabhava and all, because they are getting affected by that dushita desha. So because of that, tat viyogacha atanka prayata niyata. Because of this, every physician will be having the fear, like how the present generation, present scientific world is having. They are not actually blaming, they are worried. They are worried because most of the medicines are derived from plant source. Plant source, they origin from plant source. So that is why there is a worry that hyperaccumulation or when these metals, heavy metals gain entry into those things. So what the solution Acharya says, tasmat prag udvamsat prag bhumer virasi bhavad uddharat bhumer urasi bhumer virasi bhavad uddaradvam saumyaha. So that is why before the toxicity or deformity or dushti occurs in the soil, we have to collect them. If we collect them, they will be soumya, they will be normal, they will give good result like that. Further he says, न हि सम्यक् उद्धृतेषु सौम्यः वैषज्येषु सम्यक् विहितेषु सम्यक् च सम्यक् च अवचारितेषु जनपदध्वंसकराणां विकाराणां किंचित् प्रतिकार गौरवं भवति. So what he says, सम्यक् उद्धृतेषु, which are collected properly before the damage to the soil or before the soil pollution, if they are used, administered samyak in the right way, then even janapadvamshaniya rogas can also be cured with those medicines. Pratikara kinchit pratikara gauravam. Na kinchit pratikara gauravam means the diseases will not become heavy. Gauravam means difficult. Heavy means difficult for the management. So what he is telling, before the contamination of soil only we have to collect. Now we have to consider it. That means now it is completely, soil is polluted. Now from where we have to collect? We have to collect it from natural sources where the chances of pollution is less. That is another meaning. Means if we collect from such sources, they will not be having hyper accumulated heavy metals. Means they will not be having any problematic amount of metals in them. So again further in Charaka Samhita also we get the reference from where the drugs are to be collected. Not to be collected. Not to be collected. What he says, near graveyard, smashana, on plants which are grown on Valmika, ant hill, on the sides of the road or path, dwarf or denatured Vikrita plants. So what I told, non-metallophytic plants, when they accumulate more and more metals, heavy metals or minerals, their morphology changes. They may have retarded growth, means they may appear dwarf. Denatured means they may have, abnormal leaves, abnormal flowers, fruits and all. So this all is explained in our science. So these type of changes, if they are there in the plants, they are said to be rejected. They are not to be collected. And the plants which are suffer from insects, fire, too much breeze and sunlight, those also not to be collected. Not too young, not too old plants also. These also have their own tendency, because too young plants, even though they have like plants may accumulate the metallophytic plants, they have their metals, but because of that too young, they may not have chelated that metal to the level which is in non-toxic. So that is why too old, they may be lost, they might have lost the chelating capacity. So that's why too old plants also not to be used. And what he says, to be collected from forest or semi-forest area. And the problem is, the main problem current, the trend is the commercialization. The commercialization, because of commercial burden, commercial need, these rules of collection of herbs are completely violated, and that is why the things are becoming worst. Now further, what are the other causes? Cultivation. Nowadays herbs are even cultivated, medical herbs, medicinal plants are cultivated. But what happens? The cultivation is done without proper knowledge of the soil and the plant to be grown in that soil. Now people are trying to do that, but generally speaking, the plants are grown without assessing the soil composition and relation of that particular plant to that soil. Okay, that is not done. Other things that happen during the collection is, the local people are commonly used for collecting. So they collect from the forest also. Even if they are collecting from the forest, they collect from local people collect. Now they don't have the proper idea. They will not be having proper idea about which plants we have to collect, which plants we should not collect. Like as it is said, dwarf, denatured. They may collect and they enter into the market again. Untrained people will be there. Quantity required is huge, but because of huge quantity, the quality is getting compromised, because there is increased demand in the market for medicinal plants. Okay, whether heavy metals will be present in plants? Yes, heavy metals will be naturally present in the plant. That is why I added this one here. Rasanartho rasastrasya dravyam mapa kshitistata. So what is there? For the origin of rasa, Jala Mahabhuta and Prithvi Mahabhuta, these two are responsible. Okay. Further, what is said? For specific rasa, as Jala is nirasa, without Prithvi Mahabhuta, there will be no rasa at all. So, Prithvi Mahabhuta is very essential for the origin of rasa. Now, let us see. Prithvi means Parthiva Dravyas. So, what are the Parthiva Dravyas? What Acharya Charaka says in the same chapter. In first chapter only, he further says later, Suvarnam samalaha panchaloha sasikata sudha manashilale manayo lavanam gairikanjani bhauma bhaumam aushadaha. Bhaumam aushadam uddishtam Audbidam to Chaturvidam. Further, he says Audbida Vanaspati, Vanaspati, and all. That we will discuss in next sessions. Now, what I am telling here in this, what are Parthiv Dravyas? Parthiv Dravyas are Suvarna, Samala, Panchaloha, Sasikata, Sudha, Manashilale, Manayo, Lavana, Gairika, Anjana. These are nothing but metals and minerals. These all are metals and minerals. Suvarna, gold. Samala means Loha Kitta and all. Panchalohas, Sikata, Sudha, Manashila, Le, Manashila, Haratala, arsenic compounds. These all are said to be the Parthiv Dravyas. So when a plant has to gain rasa means one of these Parthiv Dravyas should be present in that plant. So naturally plants will have heavy metals. Okay, naturally plants will have heavy metals. When hyper accumulated metals, heavy metals come into plant circulation, then that will be considered as threat to the field of medicine, herbal medicine, herbs. Okay, so even if it is present, like just by presence of heavy metal in a plant, we cannot say that the plant is toxic. That should not be the thing. Now, for example, consider Kantakari and Brahati, these most of the Solanaceae members, which are very commonly used in treating infective respiratory diseases, skin disease and all. Okay, and they are not used in the diseases which have bleeding tendency. They have these drugs, Kantakari and all, they have been contraindicated in the conditions where bleeding will be there. So why purpose maybe don't know, but scientifically these plants tend to accumulate more amount of arsenic without getting deformed. Means they are metallophytic plants with more affinity to arsenic compounds. Now consider arsenic only, Haratala compounds in Ayurveda. They all are used very effectively in infective respiratory disorders and skin diseases. Same as that where Kantakari Brahati they were used. And same arsenic compounds, Haratala compounds, are contraindicated in bleeding diseases. Because what is said, arsenic enhances bleeding and like it may cause bleeding like viper venom or Abrus precatorus poisoning, that is Gunja poisoning. So, to understand this, there is one theory about evolution of Rashastra. So, what is there? What we know that the Acharyas knew that plants act because of their Rasaguna Virupaka, and Rasaguna Virupaka is because there in the plant, it is because of Pruthi Mahabhuta that is there with Jala Mahabhuta in them. So, they understood what are the Pruthi Mahabhutas, the minerals and minerals that are present in the soil. So, then they thought, what if we use directly those metals and minerals in treating the diseases? The quantity will become less. Alpamatropayogitvat, first line of aim of Rashastra. Aruchi, so directly when we use them, palatability will be good. So they might have started the use of metals and minerals directly from the soil. And they got better results sometimes, but they faced the problems like complications. Okay, directly they started using and they found complications. Then they might have thought. Then they thought that why the metals and minerals which are there in plant, they are not harming. Why when we are giving them directly, why they are harming? Even though they are giving in right doses. Then they got the idea that the metals and minerals that are there in plants are not mere metals and minerals. They are phytomolecules. They are phytometals and phytominerals. Then they found out the solution. They came out with the solution of sanskara, treating the metals and minerals with various herbs, their decoctions, their swarasas. Then what happened? You all know. Now Rasa Shastra is flourished, without any complications. If they are used judiciously, people use preparations of metals and minerals because they were processed with herbs. Now they are considered as phytomolecules. Now we can consider them as phytominerals or phytometals. Just for example, copper, consider. Raw copper, when it is examined, the shape of unit cell was hexagonal. The raw copper, hexagonal. But same when it was processed, at that time it was monoclinic. Appearance, copper is same, but on processing, its cellular structure, its molecular structure is changing. It is done through Ayurvedic study. It is Ayurvedic study. So why we are facing the problem then? The problem is with the methods that are used for assessment of the heavy metals, residual heavy metals and herbs. See what is that? Most of the times heavy metals stored in the plants because of their chelating action, they store those metals in less toxic form and they will be present in non-extractable form to assess. So directly we cannot extract them. So they will be present in non-extractable form. So during extraction for assessment of heavy metal content in the plant, they will be converted into extractable form. During that process, they become more toxic or they become pure metals and minerals. They lose that chelated state. They lose that less toxic state. They lose that non-extractable form, the phyto mineral or phytometal form. Then they'll be extracted as it is and they are measured and said that herbs contain excess heavy metals which are toxic like that. So another important thing for the problems is the quantity in herbs assessed on the basis of daily need of particular metal. This is wrong actually. See, the metals, for example, Erandamula contains lead. Okay, Erandamula is said to be Vrisham Vataharana. Nagabhasma is used as a Vrisha and used in neurological disorders. Both are same. Processed Nagabhasma is also used there. But Erandamula is not used for daily use, isn't it? On daily basis, Erandamula is not used. So if we compare the lead percentage in Erandamula with the daily requirement of lead, it is wrong. We need to calculate the disease requirement, the requirement of that heavy metal in that particular disease. So once that is achieved, then we have to stop using that metal. So everything is happening because of the wrong calculations, wrong assume what you can call wrong understandings. Okay, we cannot say that Yerandamula is when the lead percentage in Yerandamula is more than the daily requirement of human requirement of lead. No, it is wrong because Yerandamula is not a drug to be consumed daily basis. It is to be used in a condition where it is needed. Kantakari is not to be used daily. So if you calculate, if you assess the arsenic quantity present in Kantakari with the daily requirement of arsenic, then it is wrong. We should not compare that with daily requirement of healthy individual. We need to assess that quantity with the requirement of the disease, not the healthy individual. Okay, because of all these things, it is becoming more and more problematic. Though there are cases, I'm not telling that it is wrong, but there are cases where the reports have come that the particular drugs, herbs have caused toxicity and all. The reason for that is what you can call unethical pharmaceutical practices. Not collected the way they are to be collected. They may be collected from whichever place available, not collected from Samyak Desha, may not be collected in Samyak Kala, may not be collected in Samyak Avastha. So problem is not with the plant. We should not blame the plant. We should not blame the science. We should blame the people who are involved in that. So I request everyone to understand and spread this information to maximum people because of our deeds, human activities, the science of Ayurveda is getting blamed. We should not allow, being Ayurvedic people, we should not allow our science getting blamed. And simultaneously, we should not question the people who are saying that these drugs, they are proving in the toxicity studies. Like they are proving the patient given for a right condition also, where it was needed also, it caused toxicity means we should not question them, we should not blame them because they are telling the truth. So what we have to do is we have to blame our people only. We have to make efforts to control those pharmaceutical practices. That is what is the only solution left for this. So what you can say is heavy metals are integral parts of every herb that has Rasaguna Viripak or anything, whatever like that. So because they are responsible for the manifestation of that Prithimamut. But abnormally higher concentration of these in the plants are threat to human health, all the sciences which are dependent on the plants. So what is the only solution? Ethics in pharma industry and education of harvesters can overcome this problem to some extent because pollution has been out of our control. So even though governments are making lots of efforts, but still there will be a problem. So that is what I wanted to say. So I think you understood the heavy metals and how it is to be understood by the words of Acharya Charaka. So now we'll close this session. I hope I was able to give some positive information, good information about rasa and heavy metals. So, as I always say, read and forget, but don't forget to read. Hmm? If you are new to my channel, please subscribe, and also if you have any questions, please write in the comments. I'll try to answer them. And also, please share this information, the videos, with maximum number of your friends. Take care, stay healthy, stay happy. Thank you. See you again.